Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1:30 here in the US, and I'm Sandy Conkar for childbirthwithgrace.tv. And today is the debut of your host, Elia Blendina. And I'm going to first take a few moments and just give you a little bit of housekeeping. Uh, if you are watching on Google or YouTube, we would like to invite you over to childbirthwithgrace.tv so you can watch in our theater and engage in conversation. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a comment section where you can share your comments and your questions for Elia to answer and comment on throughout the show. And by doing so, there's a little check mark that refreshes that area every 90 seconds. And what I'm going to invite you to do is uncheck it. So when you're typing in that section, that if it decides to refresh on you, you won't lose your comments. And the other is that when you click into that area, there's a it drops down a little bit. By default, there's a box to the bottom left corner. By default, I believe it is unchecked, but double check it. Make sure there's no check mark in there so your comments and questions don't go out on your Facebook timeline, unless that's what you want to do. So, and no further ado, I invite you to welcome our host, Elia Blandina. Welcome, Elia. And she's muted, so just a second. There you
Hi.
go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show, childbirthwithgrace.tv. And it's been an exciting time putting this together, and we're finally here. And if you were able to see my intro video, you found out that I used to be a nurse midwife. I'm now retired, and I've actually helped over 5,000 women give birth, including myself for 4 children. And I've started using EFT and matrix reimprinting as a form of stress management for myself and my family since 2011, and since then have become a certified practitioner with that. And during the time that I was still working as a nurse midwife, I actually did bring it into the office and to the labor floor, and had a great opportunity to work with both my clients who were pregnant and their partners, and also the nursing staff and physicians that I worked with. So it's just a great opportunity, I think, to really teach the birth community, the family community, because as you see in my theater, I will be providing information not only about pregnancy, how to use EFT with pregnancy, but also how to prepare by using it with birth, and also after the birth, how to use it as a parent, as either a new parent. Well, we're always new parents, right? Because even if it's our first baby or our fourth baby, the experience is different every single time, and the baby's different. So, you know, they all have their different personalities, and of course your life circumstances are different. So this is what it's all about. All right, so topic of today, birth plans. Well, I'm going to give you the yin and the yang of birth plans. And what's interesting to me is birth plans were created when back in the, what was it, the 70s or so, in late 60s, when a lot of people in the 60s, particularly a lot of women, were giving birth via twilight sleep, and they didn't even know, what happened when they gave birth. And then with the whole revolution of being more aware of your birth and being more in control of your birth, then the idea of planning your birth and creating this plan that you would present to your provider started happening. And that's great. That's great. I certainly, when I was 25 and was looking to start a family, I definitely went out into my community at the time and interviewed my potential providers with the idea of, would they let me do what I wanted to do. And back then, it was in the 80s. I mean, there was no written form of a birth plan. There was just, just finding out, what your provider's philosophy and about birth. So, and I was able to find a really great provider. He had midwives in his practice. He had a birth center in his office, and he also had access to a hospital. So that was great. Fast forward into the future, as a labor nurse and then also as a midwife, birth plans started being written down, started being more prevalent. And with the concept of bringing that information to the hospital, sort of like to let the staff know what you wanted. The only problem ended up becoming like a double-edged sword, because a lot of the birth plans were being written in the form of, I don't want to be monitored all the time. I don't want an IV. I want to eat. That's a better one. I don't want pitocin. I don't want an epidural. I don't want pain medicine. I don't want to stay in bed. There was a whole bunch of I don't want this and I don't want that. And as time progressed, and any of you out there who are nurses who are listening to the program and worked on labor floor, you know where I'm going with this. As time progressed, we just didn't want to read the birth plan. Because before the whole law of attraction and The Secret and all that came out, what we did realize, and what we sort of paid attention to, was that if we read the plan and we saw all these I don't want, 99% of the time, everything that I don't want to happen would happen. And so it became this I'm giving you a behind the scenes for those of you who are pregnant and who are clients. I'm giving you a little behind the scenes kind of information, and which is, we respect, as practitioners, we respect your birth plan, but we ended up feeling like it became like a jinx because of the way they were written. So that concept really amplified in my mind, particularly once I started studying EFT, which, if for those of you who don't know what that means, it's called emotional freedom techniques. And it's a stress management tool that uses the meridian points on your upper body to release any negative emotions that you have, that you're holding on to because of a negative event that you experienced in the past. But there'll be other shows going more into detail about that. So we're not going to go too deep in that. So contact me if you want to know more. There's a button down below. Getting back to birth plans. Okay. So yeah, before The Secret, before this, the whole concept of the law of attraction was really in the foremost. We all know the law of attraction now. The law of attraction simply states, you know, whatever you keep thinking about is going to happen. And it doesn't know negatives. You know, if you say, I want or I don't want, it doesn't even hear that part. It's gonna hear the action word. So I don't want a C-section is the same thing as I want a C-section. It doesn't. So anyways, this hit home because one time I had a client who had a birth plan. For whatever reason, I decided to read it. And I read it and I was like floored. On there were things like, I don't want to be tied down to the bed. I'm like, who does that? I don't, of course, I don't want a C-section. I don't want pain medicine. I don't want pitocin. There are so many I don'ts, and particularly the part of I don't want to be tied down to the bed. It just struck me as, wait a minute, where in her journey of life was she tied down to the bed? Because that's what I wanted to know. Unfortunately, you know, as practitioners, as a midwife or a nurse, and you're taking care of people on, in a very fast paced environment, and not only are you taking care of one person, but you're taking care of multiple people, you know, you really can't get into, well, wait a minute, why did you write that down? What are your thoughts behind that? But with EFT, that's definitely somewhere to go, to find out, well, what's the motivating event that made you write that down? You know, were you tied down to the bed one? I mean, you know, well, anyways, you understand what I'm talking about. Her labor. Well, her labor, everything that she feared happened. Ended up needing a C-section. I mean, in the end, she was fine. Baby was fine. But she created this struggle, and an energetic struggle, because of all her fear of what she brought into the labor floor. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. Always have water handy, by the way. Anyways, so that started me thinking, and that's when I thought, you know, planning birth isn't really about planning all the details of giving birth. It's really about clearing the way so that you can have the birth experience that you're meant to have. And you know, we're all on the same page. Luckily, it's what, year 2015? We survived 2012. We survived year 2000. All these wonderful things are happening out there, despite, don't look at the news. I don't look at the news anymore. But anyways, all these things are wonderful that are happening out there. And pretty much most every hospital now, the staff is really geared towards family-centered care, at least all the hospitals that I've worked at. And most of the physicians out there and midwives are also, especially midwives, are geared towards family-centered care. So what I'm trying to get at, going back to birth plans, is the focus should be on what do I want my birth to be like, as opposed to what I don't want. Because pretty much everyone's really on your side. Everyone wants you to have a really great experience. If you want to go natural, they want you to go natural. If you want, if you're going to have a repeat C-section, they want that to be fun for you. They want you to be safe. They want your baby to be safe. And everyone wants a happy baby. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And for those nurses out there that are watching this, that know me and know my little story about a happy baby, everyone wants a happy baby. No, that's another story. Maybe someday I'll tell you. Anyways, so with that in mind, what I want you to do when you decide to make a birth plan is stay away from all the negatives. And if for some reason you really focus in on a negative, then that's when tapping comes in handy, because what you want to do is find out what's the emotion behind, why are you focusing in on that negative part of your birth plan? Why are you focusing in on, I don't want a C-section, or I don't want whatever it is that you don't want. I don't want an episiotomy. I don't want whatever it is that you don't want. I'm not saying it's bad to not want it. I'm just saying that at some point, you have to develop trust in the process and trust in your body. And if you keep veering towards your plan about I don't want, then there's something there. And if you can't get a handle on it, if you can't get a handle on what it is, then that's when it's a good idea to contact me if you want, or your favorite EFT practitioner who can help you, guide you to find out what memory in the past may be linked to your perseverating thought or what's happening around you. Sometimes you just need someone that's not you, not tied to your emotions, to listen to your story and help you, guide you. Where is it that you need to release those negative emotions in order to clear the way, so that you're not tied down to that negative story that you keep talking in your head about, about I don't want this and I don't want that during birth. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a story about me. Well, if you read my bio, I have 4 kids. They're all boys. I love my boys. Every single one of them has a different birth story, but I'm gonna focus in on my 3rd son, because, well, they all had a whole bunch of I don't want kind of stuff, but my 3rd one was the biggest I don't want. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened throughout my whole pregnancy with him. I just kept thinking that he's a breach. He was going to be a breach. And I was like, I really don't want to breach. I don't want to breach. Oh my God, I don't want to breach. I don't want to breach. And it was just nagging at me. Now, this is back in 1996. So I didn't know anything about EFT at the time. I wish I did. I wish I would have used it. But back then, you know, it's just, you know, you had your own brain and your friends to talk to and your husband or partner to talk to. And I don't even know if I even talked to them about it, or maybe I did. I don't know. I don't remember. But the point is, what I remember incessantly thinking all the time was, wow, I really don't want him to be a breech. Now, and I was working as a midwife too, so I'm in the industry. I know what I'm doing. I know what to feel for, like, oh, where are the baby movements and whatever. And you know, and every single time during a visit, and at the time, my best friend and colleague who we went to graduate school with, she was my midwife. And every single visit, I'd say, hey, where's the head? Or is it down? Are you sure it's down? And yeah, head's down and what have you. And so I had 2 previous babies before, vaginally, no, with their own little birth stories, but essentially no problems. The first one was back labor. That's another topic. We could talk about that later, another show. Anyways, back to the birth plan. So here I am in labor. I was just checked the day before, verified head down, and my labor's going great because, you know, I studied all on, you know, how to help labor go faster, and how to make sure, you know, how to the whole 9 yards. This is my 3rd time around. Should be easy breezy, right? Yeah, it was until well, like, I was home, and since it's my friend who's the midwife, so she came over to my house, but we were going to deliver at the hospital. By the way, it was the first time I decided that I would deliver at a hospital. My 2 previous babies were birth center babies, but that I ended up having to transfer into the hospital. But that's another episode. So we're going to stick to the birth plan here. I have so many stories. So here I am. I'm in labor, and my friend comes to the house just to check me, see how things are going. And so she checks me, and she's really soft. Her voice is always soothing, and she said, oh, you're doing fine. And she was sort of waiting for me to just be ready to go into the hospital. And then I finally said, yeah, I think it's time to go to the hospital. So, and mind you, I had taught my husband how to do exams because, you know, I'm a midwife. So if you're going to hang out with me, you're going to learn how to do exams. So, and he had examined me before we called my midwife over. And he said, yeah, it feels sort of different, but yeah, let's get her over. So anyway, so she examined me. We decided to go to the hospital. And that ride to the hospital felt like forever, because at that point I was pretty much hot, heavy labor and was doing good. And got to the hospital room, got all tucked in, and my midwife checked me, and she said, and I went, what does mean? Well, she goes, well, let me break your water because you're like 8 centimeters and probably have this baby soon. So she broke my water, and out came some really, really dark poop, baby poop. And she said, oh, I don't know about this. And I said, oh, I don't like hearing that. So she got an ultrasound over, and she checked the position, and she said, he's breech. And I said, oh no. Meanwhile, all of a sudden now I had to push really, I felt like a sensation of having to push. And she said, hey, I need to call my backup doctor to come in. And he came in and he did an exam, verified. He said, yeah, you know, your baby's breech. And unfortunately, and he was honest with me. And he said, unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable doing breech deliveries. And you're going really fast. So we need to go ahead and have a C-section. So he ended up being a C-section for breech. And there you have it. Now, was he going to be breech anyways? Or did I talk myself into that breech situation? I don't know. That's a whole nother subject area. That's, you know, you could talk about, you know, law of attraction in that. And there's just so many things you could talk about. But the point is, it would have been nice if I had EFT back then to have worked out why I was feeling so afraid of a breech scenario. On the other side, I got to learn what it was like to have a C-section, professionally speaking, from laying on the table, and how it was to recover. And so it did help me in the long run anyways, to help other women who've had C-sections before and who've had breaches and all those things. So with that in mind, that's my story of how I limited my belief and how things came to pass in my personal journey. I mean, everyone has their personal journey, and the bottom line is, if there's something you're afraid of while you're writing your birth plan, and your birth plan really should be like a plan for you and your partner, and your partner should just know that, okay, let me just make sure we get, you sort of like be your advocate at the time, that we, you know, get what we want to do. If you want to use aromatherapy, if you want to use tapping, because I teach how to use tapping during birth. That's another show. So many shows, so little time. Or maybe we have plenty of time. But anyways, but how to use tapping, how to use matrix re-imprinting. By the way, I did have an opportunity to go back and heal all the negative emotions that I had around that birth with matrix re-imprinting, and that's we'll be talking about that later on another show as well. So at this time, I don't know if there's anyone out there who has questions. By all means, I don't know. I'm going to look at the question bar and see if there's anyone out there. All right. Yes, go ahead.
I had on another platform that said that you're a hoot. I love your laugh.
What now?
I'm reading on another platform because others are watching, like out on Google.
And okay.
Someone said you're a hoot. They love your laugh.
So. How good. I'm glad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the other platform, anyone out there wanting to participate, have questions, or
just Peggy saying enjoyed the tie-in with EFT for the labor patient and the personal experience, and love your humor as well. So
oh, that's great. Yeah, I fair warning, I do have a lot of humor. I've been in the health industry for 30 years, and the first 5 years was pediatric ICU. So, and then after that, it was all labor, and so I tend to have sometimes a little bit of a gallows humor about things. So if you think I'm sort of laughing at the wrong thing, then it's okay. It's okay. It's just me and having little flashbacks of who knows what, and maybe or maybe I won't tell you or will tell you, and it all depends if it fits in. Let's see what else. All right, well, that's, for those of you who don't know how to tap, I will be doing a tapping video, so stay tuned, and I'll have it on my page so you know how to tap. For those of you who have hung out with me, you know that at any moment in time, if I feel the conversation is getting too out of control, I say, oh, I think we need to tap. And I just start tapping as we're talking. So that's how easy tapping is. And yet it's complex too, because and where it gets complex is if you feel that you're tapping, there's so many tapping videos out there. If you feel, you look it up and you say, oh yeah, this tap along, and you tap along, and either it's not working on your situation, or all of a sudden it opens up a floodgate of negative memories and all this stuff, and you start to cry, and all that, you stop what you're doing, take a bunch, 3 really, really deep breaths, get yourself a journal, write down what you're feeling, what you're remembering, and by all means, you are more than welcome to contact me for a complimentary chat to see if we are a fit, and see if I can help you in any way to get rid of those negative emotions that you may be feeling, because life's too short. Life's too short. And I think and for those of you who've seen my page at childbirthwithgrace.tv, don't you love that banner? Don't you love that's the way we should be feeling, whether we're pregnant or whether we're not pregnant. It's just, that's the goal, is to be able to stand on a strong foundation, and your arms up in the air, and the veil of promise just waving right behind you, and carefree, and just feeling really, really good. So until next time, please, 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 if there's any subject area that you want me to cover in future shows, post on my fan page, Elia Blandina. It's Facebook.com/Elia Blandina page. You can also check out my community page. It's the Awaken Your Life Power page. And however way you want to send me a message, do the complimentary chat, however way you want to do it, send me a message and let me know what else you want me to talk about. I will go ahead and put up more subjects in the very soon, because we got another show next week at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time in the US. And until we meet again, keep tapping, stay in the present moment, enjoy life, and be well.